Hey, Jonathan from Deviant Constrictors here. I get a lot of questions about the corrugated wrap that I use to as a substrate for my cages, so I figured I'd do a quick video showing you the size of the roll, how I cut it, how I put it in, and the benefit of using it in a cage versus some standard substrate such as newspaper or some sort of bark. This is a brand new roll of the liner. As you can see, it is fairly large. In terms of size, this is about 25 plus inches in width. Or in diameter, for those who want to be more specific. 28 inches, it's round so it can compress, but this kind of gives you an idea, roughly 26 to 27 inches across. In terms of height, I order mine 30 inches, so you can see from the ground up here, this is going to be 30 inches tall. It comes in various length or widths, excuse me. But the rolls, I believe, are always 250 feet long, so you can get quite a few liners out of this. The liner itself, I believe, is roughly in the area of $35. I think shipping is roughly in the area of about $20, and I get this product from Uline. You can find local stores, pack and ships or supply type warehouses that will carry this. It's just called Corrugated Wrap. These two tools are tools that I've used to cut this because standard scissors aren't going to do so well. Here's a sheet of liner that I've cut previously from another roll. As you can see, it's pretty thick stuff. I always try to cut in the middle of the groove. It gives you less to fight against. But it is, a textured material. It is thick. It is rigid. It's basically a cardboard box with only one face. This face is left open. So this is the side you leave open in the cage. This is Black & Decker's electric scissors, on-off switch, and then this will make this bounce up and down. This is not charged right now, so it's pretty weak. But you can't even see this thing move. It moves so quickly. I absolutely love these, but the problem is once you charge them once and use it till the battery's empty, it never charges well again for some reason. This is the second one that I've had, and it had the exact same problem. So having to have replaced that before, or always leave it charging all the time, which is an option. My wife went ahead and bought me these because she saw them on TV for Christmas. Really, really cool. They don't work as well as these in terms of getting between the grooves and staying there, because it's a lot easier to see what you're doing, whereas this is really bulky and you can't really pay attention to what you're doing. But once you get good at it, these work really well. Supposedly they hold a charge really well for a really long time. It's currently the beginning of April. I charged them in December when I got them, and I haven't had to recharge them once. But all you do is you've got your safety here, so you press that in. And this thing, apparently this thing is, rated very well, cuts through almost anything. We've cut all kinds of boxes and everything with it. Once you press the button here in and get this going, you no longer have to keep that pressed. But, it's up to you. But anyway, just cuts right through this stuff like butter. Again, it is hard to keep this routed in that groove, so sometimes I'll end up with some, slightly wavy cuts. But nothing that's really any big deal. I'm just a bit of a perfectionist. So those are the tools that you're going to need. You can also use a sharp utility knife, but it will definitely create more work for you. Not infinitely more, but power tools make things easy. In terms of the length and width of the sheet itself, my cages that I'm cutting this for are from one end down here to this end down here. They're 48 inches wide. And front to back, they're 24 inches deep. So I'm going to cut a sheet that is 50 inches long so that it can go from left to right. And currently this is 30 inches. I'm going to trim off about 4 inches. That way I've got a sheet that's 50 by 26. And then I'll show you something in just a second here. So I take my trusty measuring tape, measure out 50 inches. When the roll is big, if you don't have much space, you will be cramped. Then I'm going to cut off about 4 inches, roughly. that's all there is to cutting the sheet. Now, to put this in the cage, you do need to do a little bit of work ahead of time. What I do is I actually crimp the sides. So I'll just take my thumb, do that from one end to the other, and then on the opposite side, same thing. So, like I said, this is now crimped. As you can see, I went ahead and bent it. And when I put that in the cage, it's going to help this sheet to go in there much easier. As you can see, there is the benefit of having the edges curled up. It basically acts like a tray and catches any feces, catches any hard urates. That way you don't have to scrape them off of the cage. So as you can see, the cage is all cleaned out, ready to be lined with the corrugated liner and have the bow put back in. The liner. This is how I do it. I kind of make an O out of it, a roll. Stick it in like that, and then take it and angle it upwards so that I'm angled towards the, well, actually unroll it first, then angle it upwards. And if possible, I try to catch it on this lip of the glass. Depending on your cage manufacturer, you probably won't be able to do that. And then just take my hand, press it down, follow along that inside ridge, follow along this inside ridge, adjust it to the left or the right if I need to, take my hand right in the back, push it down back there, do it corner to corner. Take my high boxes, one on each side, then I take a water bowl, set that in there, and now it's time for the boa. So, take your boa, put her into the cage. Now, one thing I noticed back when I used substrate that was flat, like newspaper or indented craft paper, when I would put them back in, they would freak out. They would just flail all over the place looking for something to grab onto and secure themselves. With this, because of the very large three-dimensional texture, they don't freak out anymore. They just go in really easy, nice and smooth. It's not stressful on them at all. Hell, if anything, it takes longer than I'd like it to, like this right now. Certainly I could speed that up by pinching her tail and pissing her off, but I don't see any reason to do that. If anything, I'll get their body on there, just kind of close it, let it slide, latch, nice and secure, not going anywhere. That's all there is to it. Now what I'll typically do is I'll make a stack of liners. That way I've got several ready to go at any given time. I also use these for my tubs. I'll cut smaller ones for my tubs. These work just as easily. If anything, they're actually easier. You just take them, set them inside the tub, press it down, make sure it bends up. See, I've already got this crimped all the way across. You know, just set it in, press it in, make a tray out of it, you're good to go. So that's pretty much everything. Hope you find this helpful and informative, and you know, possibly might help you find a new substrate for your cages.